Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and my name is Roxy, and on my channel I do true crime videos, but today's video is a bit different. So if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate the support. And yeah, so let me get to the new series that I decided to do on my channel, which is so near to my heart. I decided to do a Where Is series. Now I was inspired by Kendall Rae. I'm not really sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, but I'll leave a link in the description box to her channel. I was inspired by her channel because she really does a lot, or with her video she spreads awareness of missing children and missing people, not just children, missing adults as well as missing children. And she works closely with Thorn, or she helps Thorn by raising money for Thorn. And if you guys are not familiar with Thorn, I am gonna insert a short clip explaining what Thorn is. But basically what they do is they use technology to help fight child trafficking, and that is why I'm basically doing this video.
What I've seen makes you question humanity.
There was a particular special that was an expose that was addressing this issue.
Children that were 6 and 7 years old were being molested for money.
That just kind of set us on a search to understand the issue and make it ultimately a commitment that this was something that, we were prepared to take on, even if it meant for the rest of our life.
Thorn is the organization that said, let's go use technology and innovation to solve this issue.
We have to stay on the front cutting edge of that technology because the criminals, they're on the front cutting edge.
One of the first things that Demi and Ashton did was they built a technology task force. And the whole idea is to bring the brightest minds in technology together to brainstorm around this issue.
Microsoft and Facebook and Twitter and Google are competing every day in business, but they've all agreed to work together to find a solution to human trafficking and the sexual exploitation.
So now that you've seen the video and you've seen what Thorn is all about, I am going to leave a link in my description box to the Thorn website where you can donate money to help people such as the case that I'm going to do today, or children such as the case that I'm going to do today, to fight child trafficking. So today's case that I'm going to do is the Lisa Irwin case. Now this case is, how can I say, is very close to me because Lisa is only 4 months older than my daughter. So I decided that I'm gonna start my Where Is series with Lisa Irwin's case. Now this case has a lot of ups and downs, and it's gonna be a bit confusing. While I was doing research on this case, I was also confused, torn between the two, so you understand why I am saying that this case is kind of confusing. I'm gonna start this video off by explaining a little bit background on Lisa. Lisa was born on the 11th of November 2010. She was the daughter of Deborah Bradley and Jeremy Irwin. Deborah and Jeremy had children from previous relationships or marriages. They both had sons from a previous relationship or marriage. And Lisa was the first child together, and as well as the first daughter of this blended family. So they were really excited when Lisa was born, or when they found out that Deborah was pregnant with Lisa, so they were really excited to have a baby girl in the family. I'm not really sure whether it was because they're having a daughter or just because they're having their first child together. So they were really happy to have Lisa, and Lisa brought light to the family. But things drastically changed when on the October the 3rd or October the 4th, that is between the timeline that Lisa possibly went missing or was kidnapped by someone. We still don't know that. But Lisa was, let me give you, before I start, I want to give you guys a timeline of what happened that particular day that Lisa went missing. So around at 2:30, Lisa's father, he was an electrician, and Lisa's mother was a stay-at-home mom. So Jeremy was an electrician, and that particular day, I say around lunchtime, 2:30-ish, he went home to have lunch and spend time with his family. And at 4:30, Deborah, Lisa's mother, Deborah Bradley, left with her brother to a local store, neighborhood store, to buy baby supplies as well as a box of wine. And you will see on the surveillance cameras, and you will also see that the box of wine would have a really meaningful clue to this case. So they then, when they left for the store, it was 4:30. They went to the store around 4:30 and then came home at 5 o'clock. Deborah's brother then shortly left after they came home, and 30 minutes after they came home, Jeremy Irwin went to Starbucks, where he had to work as an electrician that particular night. Now, I didn't mention before that Jeremy used to work different shifts or random hours of the day, and for that time he had to work the night shift because it was overtime, and this would mean that there would be more money for the family. And because Deborah didn't work, she was a stay-at-home mom, they really needed the money. So Jeremy went to work that night, but it was also said that he didn't normally work at night. So this was the first time in a very, very long time that he worked at night.
The couple, unmarried, lives a seemingly quiet life in Kansas City, Missouri, along with Jeremy's 8-year-old son Blake and Deborah's 5-year-old Michael. Deborah's a stay-at-home mom. Jeremy works as an electrician. Money is tight, so Jeremy works overtime when he can, including on the night of October 3rd, 2011. Baby Lisa is 10 months old. Jeremy leaves the family home around 5:30 in the evening. Within hours, disaster will strike.
So he went to work, and say around 6 o'clock or just shortly after he left, a neighbor came with her 4-year-old daughter. Now the 4-year-old daughter was playing with Lisa's 2 half brothers, and the neighbor was there to visit Lisa so that they could have some drinks or some wine and just talk and chat, just have a fun time together. That particular night that the father, that Jeremy, went to work, I think it's because Deborah didn't want to really feel alone. She was uncomfortable that night to be alone at home, so I think that's why she invited her neighbor to join her that night. So at 6:40 p.m. At 6:40 p.m. Deborah decided to put Lisa in her crib, in her room, and decided to put Lisa to bed. I think Lisa was tired at that point, or it was her normal nighttime routine, so she decided to put Lisa to bed. And at that particular time, the neighbor also left to a nearby store to buy her own liquor. And so Lisa went to bed that, or Deborah put Lisa to bed at say 6:40 p.m. and at 7 p.m. the neighbor arrived back home, and that's when Deborah and the neighbors started, talking, smoking cigarettes on the porch in front of the house. So it wasn't like they were away or went away from the house. And this is also when things get a little bit confusing in the story of Lisa's disappearance, because Deborah, Lisa's mother, claimed that she only drank a few glasses of wine, but you would see later in short clips that I'm going to play that things really changed, because she then said it went from a few glasses of wine that she might have drank as much as 10 glasses of wine that particular night. So she was quite intoxicated that particular night, because she might have drank until between 5 or 10 glasses of wine that
Let's talk about the wine.
night.
How much did you consume that day?
I had several glasses of wine.
When you say several, more than 3?
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with her.
More than 5?
Probably.
More than 10?
No.
So at 10:40 or 10:30, now 10:30 p.m. Deborah then decided that she wanted to go to bed. The boys were tired, and I think at that point the neighbor also wanted to leave, so they ended their wine drinking and just catching up as neighbors. They ended that at 10:30, and that is when Deborah went to bed. And this is also the part that really changed in Deborah's story, because she said that that particular night she checked on her daughter at 10:30 p.m. right before she went to bed, but she later then admitted that she might have not checked on her daughter at 10:30 p.m. and then the last time she might have seen her daughter was when she put Lisa in her crib to sleep.
When you went in at 10:30 after the neighbor left, what did you do?
Probably went right to my room.
Why is it probably?
Because sometimes I check on her. Well, most of the time I check on her.
You don't remember?
No.
So it's possible you did not check on her before you went to bed at 10:30.
Yeah.
So the last time you saw your daughter alive in your home was when you put her down at
Right.
6:40.
When I put her down.
It's really weird for me, because as a parent myself, I would never just leave my daughter for hours in just sleeping without checking, especially when I'm in a situation where I'm with family and we're kind of having drinks, or not really drinks, but just in a situation where you are, as a mother, you're gonna be worried about your daughter and check on her regular, especially when she's still a baby, because we all know that babies sleep for an hour or so and then wake up. So, but I'm not here to judge. I don't know what happened that particular night. Maybe she did check on her daughter, but she forgot because she was too intoxicated. I'm really not sure. But she went to bed, and one of her sons, I think Deborah's son, that particular night slept with her in her and Jeremy Irwin's room, and Jeremy's son slept in his room, in the bedroom, and the children's bedroom, in one of the bunk beds. Yes. So at 3:45 was the time that Jeremy, his job ended at Starbucks, and when he decided to head home, because his shift ended that time, he was done with his work at Starbucks, so he decided that he's going to go home. And when he arrived home, he discovered the worst thing that a parent can possibly discover. So when he came home, he realized that the front door was unlocked and the lights were on, which was very, very weird, because who leaves their front door unlocked at 4 in the morning, and who leaves their lights on that particular night? So when he entered the house, he knew that something was strange. And he also noticed that in the computer room that the window was open and that the screen was damaged of that particular window, and he tried to close it but he couldn't close it because it was damaged. So yeah, I don't know, I'm not really sure whether the window was open, or like a lot of reports say that they normally leave their windows open but the screen's closed, but the screen was also damaged. So yeah, I'm not really sure, but it was a one-story house, so it was a window that was quite possibly that someone could enter in that particular window, but we're gonna mention that window later in the case. So when he realized that the window was open, the lights were on, he started checking on all the family members, and that was the time that he checked on he went into Deborah's room and he saw Deborah and his son sleeping. I think at that point he tried to wake Deborah, but because she was a little bit resistive, and then he checked on his son and he saw his son sleeping peacefully in the room. But when he went to Lisa's room, he realized that Lisa was gone, and at that point he was so scared, and he went to Deborah and asked Deborah, where is Lisa? And basically woke up everyone in the house, and they were searching for baby Lisa because they realized that baby Lisa wasn't in the crib. So they searched everywhere in the house. After they searched everywhere in the house, Jeremy then ran to his neighbors. I think at that point he thought that he might have thought that Deborah went to the neighbors and probably forgot Lisa there. So I don't know what his thought process was, but he was looking for Lisa at his neighbors, and he didn't find baby Lisa. So he decided to call 911, and he realized that 3 of the family phones that were normally in the house were missing as well. And this is like also important thing to note in the case, because obviously phones don't just go missing, so it's also an indication, and it also shows that the Bradleys were telling the truth, that someone might have kidnapped Lisa because they realized that 3 of the phones of the family were missing that particular night. So he decided then to call from his work phone and called the 911 and reported Lisa missing. That's where they started, the police came over and they started searching for Lisa.
At 4 a.m., Jeremy returns home. Immediately, he notices something unusual. All of the house lights, he says, are turned on, and the front door is unlocked. He tries to wake Deborah, but she is groggy, so he goes to check on Lisa. And here begins the story of every parent's nightmare. His 10-month-old daughter is gone from her crib. His baby appears to have vanished. Jeremy tells Deborah. He says they both become distraught. He runs next door, banging on the neighbor's door. The neighbor answers, and he asks whether Lisa is there. He's told she's not. He returns home and says he now notices that the 3 family cell phones are missing from the kitchen. He uses his work phone to call 911. Authorities show up and begin searching for the girl. Jeremy tells police about the lights in the front door and something else he noticed. He says in their computer room down the hall from Lisa's bedroom, the screen in the window appears to have been tampered with. Investigators search the area, but there's no sign.
When they were searching for Lisa, they didn't find Lisa anywhere. They drained walls, they searched in abandoned houses, they searched everywhere for Lisa, but they just couldn't find Lisa. And we all know that the longer a child is missing, especially when it comes to a baby, the longer when a child is missing, the lesser the chances is of getting that child back. That's why the first few hours in a missing person's case is very, very critical. So everyone came in and joined in searching for Lisa. The FBI was there and they were really actively looking for Lisa. But after the day in the second day, that's when they had a press conference, and that's when Lisa's parents pleaded the public to, or whoever took Lisa, to bring Lisa home, because at that point they couldn't find Lisa anywhere.
The next day, the story goes national when Jeremy and Deborah appear on TV to beg for Lisa's safe return.
Please, bring her home. Our 2 other boys are waiting for her, please. Just drop her off anywhere. We don't care. Just somewhere safe where she can come home, please.
So after they couldn't find Lisa, I think on the 19th, yes, on the 19th of October, a search warrant was issued on the Irwin's household. Obviously, when a child goes missing, the parents or the people that last saw the child is obviously going to be the main suspects in the missing persons case. So, and because Deborah's story changed quite a few times while she was doing her, or while the police were doing the investigation, the attention really went on the family, and the police was quite suspicious of the family. So on 19th of October, there was a search warrant where they took few of Lisa's clothes as well as toys, and I'm really not sure why they took that, but the police obviously have a reason. And that's when they used a cadaver dog, and apparently a cadaver dog had a hit in the room of Deborah Bradley and Jeremy Irwin. So that is where, when the police released this information, that is where the public became really, or the community became really skeptical about Deborah's side of the story. And I think at that point is where everyone started blaming Deborah, because the investigation later on focused on her, and she really got angry because the investigation focused on her. She felt that they were, how can I say, they were wasting valuable time. Instead of really searching for the guilty person, they were focusing their investigation on her. Now, as I've mentioned, the missing phones, this is where the story gets really interesting as well as confusing at the same time, because later on, a few days later on, there were people that claim that they saw a man with a baby. Now, I think it's 2 to 3 people that claim that they saw a man with a baby, and this is also where they kind of found a suspect, and that's how the phone call also links the suspect to the Irwins and baby Lisa's disappearance, because that night when baby Lisa went missing, there was a phone call that went from Deborah's phone to Megan Wright. So this is also where like things went really weird at this point, and it's also a little bit confusing for me, because first Megan Wright, sorry guys, I'm not saying the name correctly, Megan Wright claimed that this particular lady claimed that the phone call came in at 8:30 p.m. and that was before Lisa went to bed, but that's what she stated. The phone call went in at 8:30 p.m. She also said that she never received this particular phone call, and that she didn't have her phone, and that her phone was basically used by a lot of people in the household. So there's like a lot of stories to this particular thing, because it was later discovered that the phone call wasn't made at 8:30, but that the phone call was actually made at 11:57 p.m. That was just a few minutes before midnight, and that was the time that Deborah was already asleep.
Because Megan Wright, who her roommates say that she is a user and that she is a liar, Megan Wright is the one that has publicly said now she believes the phone call came in between 8 and 8:30, but that she never got that phone call because she didn't have her phone, that the phone was shared among her 7 roommates. The roommates say that's a lie. They all had their own phones and didn't share. But listen now to Megan Wright talking about that phone call.
Apparently there was a 50-second phone call made from one of the family's phones to my cell phone. It's about 50 seconds in length. I don't know what was said or who called or who answered my phone.
Yeah, doesn't know any of that thing. Now, look at the timeline here. I want to lay this out for you because Deb Bradley says, told you between 5 and 10 glasses of wine later, she went to bed at 10:30 p.m. Now we know the call came at 11:57 from Deb Bradley's phone.
So someone was using her phone that particular night, and it was also shown in records that someone was checking the internet or trying to use the internet on check voice messages that particular night, but that was a few hours after. That was approximately, say, at 3 o'clock or a few minutes past 3 o'clock that this person was using the phone. Or we're told today, we're not sure who used this phone, and this then linked the story to a bald-headed man which is named Jersey. I think his real name, I'm gonna insert his real name on the screen because I'm not really sure what his real name is, but the story was linked to this particular male victim because apparently this man was well known for working in the neighborhood, but he was also a person that used to break into houses. So things were like really weird, and evidence really pointed to him because not only was he always around in the neighborhood. Killer night, witnesses came forward, or the police received tips that they saw bald-headed men with a underdressed baby at nearby in the neighborhood, which they suspected that it might have possibly been Lisa. So
at 12:15 p.m., a neighbor sees a bald man with a baby. Now, the handyman, a man called Jersey, right? Yeah, exactly. 12:15 a.m., a man called Jersey. He's the handyman who has been seen in the Irwin neighborhood many, many times.
So, which is weird because what man would walk with a baby in October, which is kind of cold that time, walk with an underdressed baby, a baby with just a diaper on them? And the description like showed a lot to this particular man called Jersey. And it was also weird because Jersey was also the boyfriend of this woman that was called from Lisa's phone. So this was like a really weird situation, and that's where people started speculating that Jersey was involved with Lisa's disappearance, because it was just a weird coincidence. Yeah, this man there was a bald-headed man that was seen with a baby by 2-3 people, and this bald-headed man, and then there was this phone call from Deborah's phone to this Megan Wright person, and she used to date a bald-headed man that used to work in the neighborhood of the Orwons. So it was like a weird coincidence, and I think at that point a lot of evidence pointed to this particular male, Jersey, but the police eventually cleared his name, and they said that he wasn't a suspect in their case. Now, I really am not sure. There wasn't really information released why he wasn't a suspect in this case. So everything was just suspicious to everyone in the community. As I've mentioned, that this particular man was spotted with a baby. Now, there was a man on a bike that had a closer look to this particular man with a baby, that he spotted with a baby, because this man actually spoke to the man with the baby, because he wanted to give them a lift, because he found it really weird that someone would be walking around with a baby that late at night, and especially when a baby was undressed. So he offered to give the baby a blanket, and then he also offered the man a ride, but this man did not want to take the ride, which is kind of suspicious, and which also makes me believe that Deborah didn't have anything to do with her baby's disappearance. I personally didn't believe that she was involved in the first place. A lot of people did, because the investigation pointed so much towards Deborah, and because her stories changed a lot. They did do a polygraph test on Deborah, because Jeremy wasn't a suspect, because he had an alibi. He was at work. There was actually footage of him at work, so he wasn't really a suspect in this case. But Deborah was obviously a suspect, because she was the last person to see Lisa. So obviously that it's the police work to focus on the family when the family was the last person to see the child. So they said about the polygraph, they said that Deborah failed the polygraph test, but it was later on that the family stated that she never failed the polygraph test, and that it was actually a tactic used by the FBI to try to trick her and in admitting that she was involved in the disappearance of her daughter. So she did pass the test, as well as in this video that you guys gonna see, they're gonna elaborate more on the cadaver dog as well as the polygraph test.
The couple has now decided to speak up and correct some misconceptions.
The cadaver dog. It's not true. It didn't happen. I passed the lie detector test. I passed. They told me I failed as a tactic.
Then in October 2013, there was finally a break in the case of Lisa, or the disappearance of Lisa. And a little girl was found in Greece, and authorities expect or thought that it might have been Lisa that was missing. The family was really hopeful. They really thought that it was Lisa, and we were also not sure whether it was Lisa. So investigations was done. It was later on shown that the little girl wasn't Lisa, and that her DNA didn't match Lisa, because before they got the DNA results, they could also see that the little girl looked a little bit older. Lisa was at that time supposed to be 3 to 4 years old, but the little girl looked between 5 and 6 years old. So it was really a bummer for the parents, because they really thought it was Lisa. They were comparing pictures, and they were really hopeful that it was Lisa coming home, but they later on found out that it was a mother that gave away her daughter to someone else. But so it was really just sad to see everything happen, and to see that the family was blamed for the disappearance. I am still not till today sure whether the family was involved, but I personally don't think that they were involved with the disappearance of their daughter. Especially, I don't think that the mother was involved, but there was a lot of speculations. But this case just hit deep for me. That's why I decided to get involved in missing persons cases, as well as missing children, and to bring awareness towards Thorn, and really to try and encourage people to donate to Thorn, so that we can help with the child trafficking that is currently a problem in the world, and that we can stand together and fight this problem, and just try to keep kids safe, and to bring babies like baby Lisa home. Now, I also want to say in this video that baby Lisa's mother, Deborah Bradley, really believes that her daughter is okay, and that nothing is wrong, that she feels that her daughter will return home safely one day, and that her daughter is not hurt, and that this is just a legal adoption. But I'm not sure. I cannot say from my personal standpoint what I believe, but we all just hope for the safe return of baby Lisa. We just want her to come home. So guys, thanks for watching this video, and if you have anything to comment and any contributions that you want to make to this case or discuss this case, just comment down below. And please guys, if you can, please donate to Thorn. Let's make a difference. Let's stand up as a community, as people in the world, and let's fight child trafficking. Let's donate to Thorn. Let's help the bigger cause. So guys, that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again in the next video. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Bye.